A lot of those investments are in increasing the size of their teams in global locations, including in setting up captives where there are large analytics teams in low-cost locations across the globe so that they can be better access to data science talent and to build internal capabilities for these organizations.
Welcome to the Life Sciences Leadership Podcast, where we delve deep into the life sciences industry and uncover effective strategies, innovations, and future trends. Your host, Axtria's Jasmeet Soni, engages highly acclaimed leaders in discussions focused on directing commercial success in the life sciences industry. Whether you're transforming your commercial success strategy or just craving dynamic discussion, this is the show for you.
Hello everyone, I'm your host Jasmeet Soni and welcome to the Life Sciences Leadership Podcast brought to you by Axtria. Our goal with this show is to bring to you effective strategies, innovations, and most importantly, people who are driving improved business and patient outcomes within the life sciences industry. Our guest today is Sameer Sardana. Sameer heads products at Axtria and is the force behind some of the leading software products in the life sciences commercial space. He has spent over a decade developing products specifically in customer engagement, promotional measurement, and MLOps workstreams. In his role, Sameer is also responsible for defining the strategy, go-to-market plans, and execution of Axtria's product vision. He routinely partners with global commercial leaders to provide last-mile decision support, leveraging AI and technology to transform their business. Prior to Axtria, Sameer held roles of increasing responsibilities in the data analytics and technology consulting space, with expertise in areas of sales and marketing operations, commercial model design, marketing mix, and patient analytics. Over the years, he has partnered with customers on dozens of transformation initiatives that required large-scale change management across a range of stakeholders. As someone who has worked closely with Sameer, here's what I believe. As boundaries between technology and data analytics get blurred and Gen AI gets embedded into processes, Sameer is playing the role of an industry change agent, leading the charge to transform the way life sciences organizations operate. Sameer holds a bachelor's and a master's of technology degree from IIT Delhi. Sameer, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jasmeet, for those kind words and happy to be here.
Absolutely, Sameer. It's great to have this conversation on an important topic. Let's start with the basics. Promotional measurement, planning, and activation has been around forever, right? Before we delve into the evolution and changes, can you set the context by telling our audience the current state of affairs?
So, pharma has been spending a large portion of their revenues on sales and non-personal promotion. Over $30 billion is spent on promotion to HCPs, to patients, and to consumers. However, what we see is that in the space of marketing analytics, measurement, tracking, and planning is still largely very siloed. We also find that the measurement is largely centered around budget planning and is done once or twice a year. That is done primarily to define budgets for various promotion channels. A lot of focus over the last couple of decades has been around measurement of these promotional channels. There are various techniques that have evolved over the years to measure the promotion effectiveness around areas of hierarchical modeling, around residual and breakout modeling, and most recently using Bayesian approaches to measure how the promotion and the effectiveness of that promotion is. A lot of these approaches are extremely labor intensive, given the high level of sophistication that these data science models require. It is dependent on the people, their skill sets, and their ability to capture the market dynamics at play in our industry.
So, Sameer, thanks for setting the context. As you know, the pharma world is changing rapidly, and you talked about some of the things in the context that you set. And when we talk about promotional effectiveness, what are the drivers of change that, in a way, our customers are responding to?
Absolutely. If you look at the overarching trends in this space, there are 4 key trends that are bubbling up. Number 1, we see that the patient outcomes and the patient services are becoming more and more important. There is a lot of focus towards rare disease and specialty products. And we see that in an endeavor to deliver these targeted medicine, precision medicine towards our patients and our consumers, a lot of emerging data sources are coming up. The second major trend that we see is this uber focus on personalizing our engagement with our customers so that we know what they want. And when we promote to them, when we promote to the HCPs, we promote to the patients, it is keeping in mind their preferences and their needs at any given point in time. The third large trend, especially from an analytics perspective that we are seeing, is this large shift from project-driven analytics to product-driven analytics. And what that means is pharma companies are investing in productization of analytics so that they can deliver a more standardized, repeatable, reproducible process in order to conduct these analytics. And over time, that leads to consistency in the way promotion is being measured and insights is being generated. The fourth major trend that we see occurring here is in the space of MLOps. Now, gone are the days where analytics was only to drive decisions in big meetings over PowerPoint decks. Today, data and analytics is being used to drive decisions at the last mile, at the moment of decision. And the MLOps workstreams, the MLOps technologies are enabling so that the stakeholders, the marketeers, can make decisions on how to promote to their customers on a daily basis, oftentimes on a real-time basis. And that is significantly driving decision-making for these key stakeholders.
Absolutely, Sumit. Thanks for listing down those drivers of change. I love the way how you bucketed those complex drivers of change into like 4 simple buckets. So clearly, there's so many reasons to push for this evolution. So the natural question is, what is holding us back? What are the barriers to change and how can companies overcome these barriers?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question, Jasmeet. As we think about this space of promotional effectiveness, what we have seen and observed is promotion effectiveness is still conducted largely in silos. And that is a product of the way life sciences organizations today execute and service their HCP and patient ecosystem. So we see that there are 3 major buckets of promotional planning, where we figure out which customers to promote to, how to differentiate in terms of subnational, campaign level, target level plans. The second bucket is in the space of tracking. Once we have these plans set out in motion, it is important to see the engagement of the customers with various promotional efforts. The third bucket is of activation. And activation follows the measurement. And oftentimes what we observe is that these 3 buckets are not interlinked with each other. And that is one of the biggest barriers towards doing this effectively, where all aspects, promotional planning, promotional measurement, and promotional activation are closely tied to each other in a manner that customers can learn from their promotional efforts and calibrate and course correct in time. Now, if you think about this, and I spoke about the services ecosystem being siloed, there is a very large dependency in our industry on agencies, where agencies are still responsible for short-term and medium-term planning and execution. And in this paradigm, what occurs is that the agencies are also biased and self-fulfilling in terms of the way measurement is conducted. Organizations are realizing that given the high focus on establishing customer touchpoints, that this needs to be insourced so that they can focus their efforts on creating a holistic customer experience for the HCPs as well as for the patients.
Right. And you talked about agencies, right? And they keep on increasing. Is that like the trend that you see? I mean, there's so many agencies and vendors out there, which I'm pretty sure also impacts the cost of doing this.
Absolutely. The agencies were originally formed with the intent and with the objective of having drive promotional and creative content around pharma marketing. However, the role of agencies have expanded over time into taking care of promotional planning, promotional execution, and in some cases, promotional measurement. There is one pharma company that we was talking to not so long ago where their spends on agencies are in the range of $200 million on an annual basis, where the organization has laid down a goal to cut that down by over 50% over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and that speaks to the dependency and also the cost factor, right? And they need to work towards efficiency. Those are some great pertinent points. And as we all know, change is extremely difficult, especially with many of our large customers who have investments in existing infrastructure, processes, and a lot of times a traditional mindset that really gets in the way. Having said that, there is still value being delivered with this work today. Can you tell us more about investments being made and if there are opportunities to drive even more value?
Absolutely. So organizations are investing in analytics over the last few years, and that investment is only continuing to increase over time. A lot of those investments are in increasing the size of their teams in global locations, including in setting up captives where there are large analytics teams in low-cost locations across the globe so that they can be better access to data science talent and to build internal capabilities for these organizations. We're also seeing that organizations are taking more and more control of their own measurement processes so that they reduce the reliance on vendors, including analytics vendors, as well as including the agency vendors. Now, what we observe as this starts to occur, that they're trying to make their large teams more and more effective so that the team members can come in and deliver the same level of quality and sophistication in a very efficient manner without compromising on anything. The reason and the additional trend that we are also seeing is there is a lot of overlap in the way this analysis is being conducted across the globe. Historically, a lot of the analytics has been very brand focused as well as very market focused. Now, there is a trend towards standardizing and streamlining this analytics across the globe. There is one customer that we work with where they have created a global capability center of excellence where all of their promotional measurement is being done through a centralized team for over 30 brands and across 12 markets. And that allows the organization to leverage the best-in-class techniques as well as have the best practices being applied consistently across the globe.
Samir, as you were talking about value and its investments, I was thinking that one of the key drivers of value has been the use of software. Can you talk about the role software is playing and what value it brings?
Absolutely. So the boundaries as the analytics ecosystem has evolved between technology and analytics is fast blurring. If you think about our daily lives, we think about the applications that we use even on our phone, things like Uber, where we call in a cab and there are multiple algorithms that run in the backend in terms of figuring out the location, figuring out the ratings of the driver, figuring out the destination we have to go to. All of these algorithms come together and delivers a very seamless experience to us as a consumer in terms of getting access to a particular service. The same way, what we see is software is playing a large role in our industry, especially in the measurement and promotional effectiveness space to bring all of this together. And that is occurring across in 3 broad areas. Number one, we see software is acting as a common currency so that as organizations set up large cross-functional teams, servicing multiple markets, multiple brands, they can all operate in a common area. The second piece that is occurring is we see, given the large set of organizations and teams, we see that everyone is able to have access to the latest and greatest techniques in terms of conducting the analytics in a repeatable, in a consistent manner. And the third most important piece we see is that this is aiding in decision support. This is aiding, software is helping organizations take the analytics to the last mile in the hands of the marketeers, where they don't have to have access to the complex analytics models, yet they are able to see the effectiveness of each campaign identify where the campaigns are working and not working, identify opportunities to calibrate those campaigns, opportunities to calibrate at a subnational level, at a sub-target level, and of course at a brand level, and make real-time decisions on what to dial up and down in terms on the spends and the touch points and the interactions across those campaigns.
And it brings a lot of transparency across the ecosystem, because that's another benefit customers are really seeing. And there is a critical role, as you said, it's playing in this transformation, especially when teams are becoming global. Increasingly, we see that they're becoming global. So in my last question, I would like to understand more about the stakeholders involved in the process, their roles, and how that is changing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So historically, a lot of the measurement space has been focused on the data scientist community, where the data scientists will analyze the data, run analytics models of various types, and present outcomes. But what we've observed is that this is now expanded to stakeholders beyond the data scientist community, where IT teams, commercial IT teams, as well as the marketing teams themselves are a very tight part of this ecosystem. And what is occurring is the marketeers and the marketing teams expect that they will be able to make these decisions on how to vary their promotional spends on an ongoing basis. Oftentimes, when we think about what an average marketeer does, they are looking to answer questions from their leadership teams and looking at scenarios on how the brand is going to evolve. So questions range from blue sky, if we were able to maximize the revenue for this particular brand, what is the best way of spending our budget? Or it could be, we have some additional funds and we want to be able to spend more advertising dollars. How should we go target our customers? Now, to answer all of these questions, marketeers have technology at their fingertips through the role of software, where they can run the what-if scenarios and answer these questions in a matter of seconds and minutes versus conducting weeks worth of analytics for them to be able to get this answer. So that's how we see the role of marketing as well as commercial IT.
And that is a big change for folks who have worked in traditional settings. That is, for some people, it can actually disrupt the way they've been doing stuff. And, they have to find new ways of doing things, right? So that's a big change that we are seeing in the customer base. Samir, thanks for all that great amount of information that you just presented. As I said, that was my last question. This has been an extremely insightful episode and a very important one. Promotional planning, measurement, and activation is a critical functional area for all our customers. And it is important for life sciences organizations to evolve and adapt this capability to be successful in the future. Your work with our customers is driving significant impact, and I'm sure our audience will be able to apply what they learned today and get ahead of the competition. Thank you so much for coming to the show and sharing your knowledge and deep experience in this space.
Thank you, Jaspreet, and thank you so much for having me here.
To the audience, thank you so much for joining us today and making this show such a big success. Please feel free to share any feedback, and I look forward to meeting you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on the Life Sciences Leadership Podcast. If you loved this episode, please share with friends and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. For more information, visit lifesciencespodcast.com. Until next time.